The tarp that we have now, I believe, costs $10,000. We probably work about 300 days out of 365. There's a lot that goes into it with making sure that it stays pristine. My name is Nathan Strait, and I'm the manager of Field Operations for the Springfield Cardinals, AA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals. This is everything we do to take care of a professional baseball field. On our game days, we start the day always by mowing. We'll mow the field every day before a game, infield sides and outfield. After we mow, it's really taking care of the infield dirt. We'll get it drug. If it's wet at all, we'll nail drag it, roll it. But on a hot summer day, we're spending most of our day watering the infield, hitting hot spots in the grass, but we'll water anywhere from 6 to 10 times a day during a hot summer day. After we're done doing that, we'll set up for batting practice. It's usually about 4 hours before the game starts. Derek and myself and our staff, we set up all the screens, the mats. Depending on what the schedule is for that day, sometimes they'll take infield before, then we'll have to stay out here, wait for that to get over to get screens out. After batting practice, we usually have about an hour before the game starts. We'll spend it tearing down batting practice, getting the field ready. We'll drag, put lines down, water, and then just make sure everything is up to MLB standards, doing our last check through before first pitch. Our biggest thing in pregame is making sure the bases are set firm in the pegs. We'll need to make sure lines are straight, edges are straight. Just minor things on a game day that they'll look for to make sure it's to the MLB standard. It's a well-oiled machine. We usually have 5 guys working a night. While we're doing our thing, we've learned to have our head on a swivel just to watch those guys while we do our things. I know Derek always drags. I water base lines and put lines down on the infield. And then once we have those done, we'll send a couple guys out to do the outfield foul lines while Derek waters the rest of the field, and I'm working on home plate, getting the boxes looking nice, things like that. So. Here we watch radars pretty constantly during the season. Our general rule is if there's a 25% chance or above at night, we're putting the tarp on or after a game. We have weather alerts that we get from our weather service. If there's a chance of rain, we're always keeping the cart by the tarp, keeping the office on standby just in case we need to have people out here to help pull tarp. And then once the tarp's on, we really, our biggest thing is making sure it's going to be done raining with enough time to get the field ready, so we don't have to deal with putting the tarp on and off again. Once the first pitch starts, we have to give the decision over to the umpires. So anytime before first pitch, it's our choice to put the tarp on. After that, we just have to keep the umpires updated on what's coming. It's ultimately their decision. If they want to play in the rain, that's up to them. We just have to give them our best advice on if the field can handle it. If it does come to the point where we have to put the tarp on during the game, it is a sprint. We can usually have the tarp on in a minute and a half, but we'll keep our staff in the bullpen ready to go. We have stadium staff down by the dugout ready to go, and it's doing everything we can to make sure it's on in the rain without getting the field too wet. I do not know how heavy the tarp is, but I know it's heavy. The tarp that we have now, I believe, costs $10,000. We do have to special order the tarp. Most of them come in a certain measurement, but tarps aren't something that they just keep in stock. So once we order one, it usually takes probably 8 to 10 weeks to get it, and we usually get a new tarp every 3 years. There is quite a bit of science with the grass. We have an extensive fertilization program that we throw out through the year. With Missouri State playing here, we'll start it, probably end of February, early March, and it goes all the way through end of October, 1st of November. So a lot of science in that is really making sure the mower blades are sharp so it's not ripping the grass instead of cutting it. So that helps us a lot with keeping the grass healthy. In the summer months when it gets hot here, we have a cool season grass, so it's not a fan of the heat. So you'll see us out here watering grass nonstop during the day just to make sure it doesn't get hot, because once it's hot for too long, that's when it starts to kill itself out. So a lot of time spent just walking it over, looking at it, making sure there's areas that don't need to be tended to. We fill divots with sand. If anybody dives and takes grass up, we'll put seed and divots in those just to get them growing back. There's a lot that goes into it with making sure that it stays pristine. To fix the mound and plate, we have a layer of conditioner on the top of them. Usually that's the part that gets too wet. So if we get called out to the mound or the plate during a game, we'll bring a shovel, a bucket, and then a new bag of conditioner. We'll strip everything that's on there off and then just put a new bag on, which should soak up water and keep it dry for them. There's some games we'll have to do that 2 or 3 times just to keep it going. We get about 15 pallets of conditioner, which there's 40 bags on a pallet, 50-pound bags. So we'll go through every bit of that during the season. It gets to a point where if it's down too long, it gets dusty. So we'll take it all off and just restart. But if it gets a little low on the infield, we'll add some before every homestand just to make sure it's to the right measurement that we need. A lot of times people don't realize how much work goes in on the off weeks. I mean, we're here from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends and off weeks, making sure everything is ready to go. We're replacing sod, we're aerating the field. We still have to mow and make sure the grass stays alive in that heat. So we're out there hand watering. We'll have 200 feet of hose out spread around the outfield, just watering hot spots to make sure things stay ready. So there's so much work. I can't even give you the list of what we do in an off week to make sure this field stays looking great for game weeks. Get started in groundskeeping. I know Derek and I both went the same path. We both started here part-time in college. Really, that's the only way we ever knew on how to get started. But we started part-time, we learned how to do it, and we fell in love with it. So we kept going, we kept learning, and here we are. I mean, for other teams, I know there are people that go to school for it. There's turf management programs, very few around the country that you can go to and actually get a degree in this. It's really just getting into it and figuring out that you like doing it and sticking with it. I'd say the most difficult part is weather. Right? It's so unpredictable, especially here in Springfield, that we're constantly looking at the radars on our phones, talking to weather people, just trying to make that decision on whether we need to cancel batting practice or we need to delay a game. It really has pressure, especially when there's fans in the stands. You want to make sure you can get a game in with where that they've already come to. The most rewarding part, I would also say, has to do with weather. I mean, if it's raining, we've had games on Friday night where it's rained an inch right before first pitch and we're scrambling to get the field ready. With the MLB, they don't want you playing with puddles anywhere on the track, things like that. So we're, scrambling to get those puddles dried up. But being able to start a game when people don't think you're going to be able to start a game, that's one of the most rewarding things, that, especially on this field. It's 20 years old and it shouldn't drain as well as it does, but it does. kind of a joke that goes around all the minor league groundskeepers. People always assume that minor league groundskeepers or groundskeepers in general have pristine front yards at their houses, but if you drive down the street and see a yard that's not great, it's most likely that groundskeeper because they're too busy taking care of their own facility.